morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies for today's Monday's Musings on January the 8th, 2024. Sometimes it can really help to feel into the actual day that we are, to focus on things that bring us into the present moment. The last week or so, I felt an incredible, overwhelming energy trying to come through, almost like a trickster type vibration, tempting me to focus on things that I either A, can do nothing about, am already doing something about, or need to plan further down the line. And what that's done to my energy is almost leave it quite scattered, which is something I'm relatively comfortable in, because from that perspective I gain different perspectives. However, the last week or so, it hasn't felt, I was going to say genuine, necessary. It hasn't felt necessary, almost a splintering off of parts of myself in order to be able to gain different perspectives hasn't felt necessary. What has felt more valid, more solid, is to look at why I feel I need to do that. An example. I'm very aware there's a new moon coming up in Capricorn, I think it is, this week. New moon? Yes, new moon. Very aware, but not aware. One, I can feel it too. I've seen it, obviously, on internet and on the searches. I still, as yet, do not feel ready to put into place some of the plans that I have had for 2024. And I've sat into that originally perceived resistance, and I've dug and I've gone beneath it. I've even gone beneath the fact that we're still in the dead of winter in the UK. I've gone beneath the fact that my mother, my earth mother around me, is in hibernation, that these seeds are well under the ground. I've gone beneath all of these views, understandings, resonances within me to the very thing that I was trying to avoid. Firstly, the reason I don't feel ready. Secondly, not what is holding me back, but what is making me react, bringing forth the same energies. There's been a lot of stories for me this last week that have energetically been playing themselves out, that I'd believed, I'd read from back to front, that I believed I knew inside and out, that I believed I had placed back upon the metaphorical shelf of my own library, that were actually still dictating the chapter I was preparing to write for my life. So even though on a physical level, my mental energy suggests that I haven't done anything towards these goals, energetically, spiritually, I feel so much has shifted that when the time is right, which for me personally, for a lot of them will be February, it's almost as if the person navigating the changes, the person steering me forward, will be completely different. And I'm allowing time for that to become more embodied in who I am, my actions, my presence. And it's a work in progress. Because the other side of this new moon this week, yes, it's in Capricorn. Yes, we have Saturn doing its thing. We have the taskmaster and a great time to put in new intentions. It's also the light bringer. It's also the devil in the tarot. So my Capricorn, my midhaven is in Capricorn, where I'm headed, is all in Capricorn. And that does suggest not hard work, but some graft and achievements, and that they are actually important to me, which is kind of something I try to steer away from. And that's really coming to light why I would steer away from that, why I would be holding myself back. And there's been a lot of, like I say, stories or emphasis on childhood and upbringing and parenting and schooling, all coming to light for me. Over this next week, the energy that is rising up to be seen is to be seen in order for us to truly release ourselves. We are in the Strength card, year. We are in the Star card, year. We are in the 8, the Mastery, the infinite energy that has flown through anything that we have done will be coming to the surface to be seen, to be heard, to be felt. There is no more silencing that. We are ready, despite what we may believe. It is there to be acknowledged, despite what we may want. And it is there to actually serve and help us move forward. And when I feel that, that's when I feel like I want to sit forward now, that I want to face it head on. So with that in mind, I am going to look at the energies this week. I did actually try and straighten my hair and brush my hair and try and control my hair. And what actually happened is it became a bit larger than life. And that feels incredibly poignant. This week, anything that we're trying to control, anything that we believe needs to be a certain way, may turn around and literally, I get the analogy of pulling a lion's tail, may turn around and actually attack us full face. So just being aware where our actions are coming from and why. And when I say where, I also mean when. So obviously with it being an 8 year, we have the emphasis on time and divine timing, but also the past affecting our now and our future as a result, and being acutely aware of that in our actions. Where are we acting from? Are we reacting? There are gifts, strength, courage, wisdom that we have gained that, yes, absolutely, we can take forward. But if it's weighed down with judgments, views, old tales, literally old tales, and we're going to keep pulling on that, then we're not going to get the true essence of what wants to come through. I do feel a sense of maturation. But with that also a sense of fun. But it doesn't feel the same as the almost trickery energy trying to come through. So normally when I feel a trickster type energy, I feel the Heyoka, the Hoka energy trying to come through. This isn't the same. And to be aware of that, to be aware we may be trying to lighten the situation and they are unable to be lightened. They need to be gone through. There's a time to laugh and a time to listen this week. Fun can be sacred also. Okay, is there anything else? So there's a lot. I could talk about the condensation on the window and, our emotions. Well, I am now, obviously, our emotions blurring our view. There's so many messages around us right now that we can almost get distracted by them. So the key this week is to go into where we feel we are and to see if that's actually aligning with the truth that is in front of us, to really use our body for the tool that it is to connect back to our physical selves and back to the earth as a result, because Capricorn is an earth sign also. Obviously the devil in the tarot is seen as the devil and hell, but hell is also the underworld where our Eden is, where our untapped potential is, where our shadow lies with our gifts waiting for us to be mature enough to travel deep into what we are feeling and resubmerge with this wisdom. And that's a gift this week that we are going to be offered, if we can see it as a gift. So an example, I'm doing a offering in part of a Bring It group that I'm in tomorrow, and the moment I acknowledged what I was going to share, which is a journey to Eden, a shamanic journey to Eden, the moment I acknowledged what I was going to share, my own resistance came up, my own resistance around who did I think I was to share these things, my own resistance about doing adverts and videos and not wanting them to be too good, too vibrant, too radiant, too light, too, not to put expectations on myself, to the stories that were unraveling as a result because of my own relationship with teaching and authority and sharing. But underneath it all if I stripped it back, working with the Lover's card and the Devil card, if I stripped it right back, underneath it all was this longing to be seen in my naked, raw vulnerability and to share that beauty with others, which is a petrifying experience, particularly if we're not used to it, particularly if we're not used to how we can bring things to almost place over us to cover that up this week. Obviously, it's all going to be a choice, but we are going to be gifted experiences that will, my door nearly opening then, that will strip back the layers. Not always necessarily negative experiences either. So another example, yesterday I went out with my husband and my son into town, a place where I'd left many years ago and tried to leave a big chunk of myself behind as well, because that's where I came from. Going back into town yesterday, seeing how alive it was and how vibrant it was. And yes, poverty, yes, certain areas where I have judgments on and as a mirror on myself. Yes, lots of things that I could look at from a negative perspective, but I went there with my husband and my son, and we quite literally, metaphorically and physically played the game. And as we did so, I had so much fun because of the company that I was in, because of returning to my roots, because of enjoying it for the moment that it was. So much fun. And as I came back to where I currently live, I realised this isn't me. All this believing that I wanted to be in the country, all this believing that I wanted to get away from the town and my history, and all of it actually isn't me. And that's changed some massive concepts for where I'm going in 2024. And it wasn't a negative experience. So what I'm getting at is it doesn't always have to be negative experiences that strip us down to who we are. So really keeping an eye out for the beauty way. Now that is where we're going to get confused with the energy this week. Yeah, it is about experiencing it. It is about embodying it. It is about finding our own answers through the wisdom that we get by applying what we are discovering to life, not stepping back from it, but being right in it this week. However, there is a difference between lightening things up because we are trying to avoid it and the true, genuine beauty way here. The true going through the process, finding the beauty within it, finding that sweet spot, finding that thing to be celebrated, the sacredness, the fruit of it all, if you will. So I could have quite easily yesterday concentrated on the sheer fact that, and I did for a while, it's part of the process, and it will be part of the process. It's some of the steps that take us down into a more deeper part of ourselves, but recognizing they are just steps. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yesterday, yes, I did get caught up in not wanting to be back in town. That brought up quite some traumatic responses actually in my body. One step, keep going. Why am I here? To share time with my loved ones, to connect, to have fun. Coming back home to it being cold and that feeling of, oh my God, I want to leave here. I don't want to live here anymore. This isn't what I want. Yes, I had a knee-jerk reaction of, I need to run away now. That's one step. Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is key this week for the journey that we're being asked to walk upon. So once we see something, acknowledging it from where we are and then taking the next step and the next step and just being almost led by the beauty of this connection. Yesterday, if I had laughed off or shrugged off or joked off, which was so fucking tempting, some of the things that I was feeling, and a normal reaction for me, the class clown, a normal reaction for me, if I'd done that, I wouldn't have received the wisdom underneath, the sheer beauty of what my higher self was trying to tell me. And that was, I haven't got a clue. I don't actually know what I want anymore, because what I want I've either achieved or it isn't what I want anymore, and that's okay. But from that perspective, trying to put in plans, goals for 2024 is pointless. absolutely pointless because I'm unsure. So the way to get sure is to experience what is going on, to know what I don't want, which is to live where I am anymore, to know what I do want, more time with my family, more fun. Really, really feeling into that, which can only come by experiencing what is occurring. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, all of it. Life itself. We are in the Strength card year and we are in the Star card year, and there is an emphasis there of seeing a bigger vision of our own divinity. But I tapped on it last week, that doesn't mean leaving the body. That doesn't mean ascending away from what is happening. That means having the courage to be in it. I say it over and over and over again, and I will continue to say it. The human body knows what it needs, but we must feel and listen to the messages from it in order to have that supply and demand, that connection. When we're in pain, by feeling the pain, our endorphins, our serotonin, our dopamine becomes released, but we must feel it to have that trigger response, that glimmer response. Life is kind of no different. Now, I'm not advocating you stay in circumstances that are genuinely not healthy and no good for you. What I'm saying is, when you feel that they're not, if you are able to start moving away from them, to also be the medicine that your body is asking of you as well. It may not be easy, right? It may not be easy, but there is help there. And it may be help in the form of people. It may be the help in the form of establishments, or your GP, or friends, family, nature, yourself. This morning I felt so overwhelmed that I knew there was nothing I could do with what was going on. As I say, it was either I was already doing it or it was to come. So I handed it over. I wrote a list, a rough mental list of some of the things that I needed to actually physically complete, because there's no point leaving it completely. It's going to be there. These are steps to be walked. So I made a mental list of what I need to achieve, what I actually realistically, physically need to achieve at this present moment. And then I handed it over. My mind had said, okay, you've heard this, you've acknowledged this. I asked for help, handed it over, and had a message straight away to join a yoga challenge in February to raise money. For me, that helps me give, which is always an incentive, each to their own. That's one of my incentives, to share, to give, to raise awareness. So that inspires me, that ignites me, that excites me enough to be able to do it. Now, yes, ideally I'd be doing it just for myself. I'm not in that space right now, and that's okay. So what actually inspires me to do it? Doing it for others and with others as well. The moment I handed that over, the moment I asked for help with my physical health, in it came. It's going to be that quick this week, but it's about feeling into what we genuinely need based on where we genuinely are, not the traumatic experiences that are very familiar and being triggered right now, not the fakery of trickster type energy of avoidance, but the genuine feeling into exploring, experiencing, and the beauty that can be found from that. The connections that are waiting also. There are a lot of them available this year, and I see an image of brain synapses joining up together, but more than that, the like an electric grid around the world, but also more than that, a forming of tribes, a reforming of connections, of lines of power, of people coming together, but only if we ask for what we need, because the chances are either A, that person needs it too, or can provide it and will gain their own wisdom in doing that. So being brave enough, vulnerable enough to say, this is where I'm at, this is what I need right now, this is what I'm able to do, this is what I need to do, and setting future dates for that. The other thing that I did today, a couple of the things I need to get completed, I'm unable to do anything about at the moment. So I've put them as a future, on my future timeline, as a date where I can do them. My mind can then say, okay, so you've organised that. Fine, I can let that go. I mentioned it last week and I found it in my own reading for the year. January in particular is like a mini insight into everything that we could achieve for the whole year. And there's like this naive view of believing it's all going to happen in 1 month. Take this time to plan realistically, keep the smart. It's make sure that it's measurable, make sure that it's attainable, make sure it's specific, it's realistic, that it has a target or a time to it. These can be adapted, and it's really important to be open to adaptation and flexibility this year, but we can't adapt anything that doesn't exist. Okay, so putting these things in a rough timeline for the year, you have time. We have time. All that is needed is time. So feeling into where you want to spend that time right now. Where are you not going to be able to get, and my left eye is really twitching with that, not going to be able to get that time back? Where is it vital right now that you spend your energy for the currency that it is? Okay, so that being said, I am going to look at the energies this week and how to best navigate them. And I'm going to use the Radiant Rider Radiant Rider Waite Tarot. Now they are, I love it. The moment I connect to them, that's it. All hope of me being able to speak any sense is just gone. Okay, interesting. Really looking at that with some of your connections this week. Because what happens, my own energy takes a side step. So being aware of where you may not feel able to clearly communicate, and looking at what energy you may have taken on, or the balance of that connection in particular. So I'm going to use the Rider Waite Tarot. I'm going to use the radiant version of them because A, they fit in a tin. I can take them everywhere with me. That feels really important, to look at the wisdom that we can continue to take forward with us. They are small enough to fit into my hands. They are manageable. So again, making sure that it's not too much, that we're not trying to carry too much, that they are that what we are trying to achieve is doable this week. They're the originals for me. I haven't actually worked with the Thoth deck, but the Rider Waite are one of the originals for me. And for me personally, there's something in that. There's a structure in the old ways. Again, figuring that out for you. What originally gave you the spark? What originally called you forward to do whatever it is you are doing right now? Going back to that. Finding the light within it, because these are the radiant ones. So the colour for me is a lot more vibrant. And when it's more vibrant, when there's more light, you know, it's like the analogy of the dress on social media. Some people saw blue, some people saw black, depending on the amount of light their eyes were able to receive. When there's more light, we are able to see more colour. And I felt that in my root chakra, a real lightness in our connection. So finding a way this week to make it manageable, to take the things forward you want to take forward, and be able to carry them with you. Travel light this week, and particularly throughout the year. Manageable, light enough to carry, see more colour in that situation. Open yourself up to a more lighter perspective of what is going on. And keep it back to the original. Whatever it was that called you in the beginning, whether it's a relationship, a job, or whatever, what called you to that person, that situation, that connection in the beginning? Chances are it's that that's fallen to the wayside and may need resparking. Okay, so with that in mind, I really feel that. I feel a really big shift with that when that's acknowledged. Now, yeah, Two of Wands. In a relationship, regardless of what that is, a relationship takes work, takes love, takes balance and commitment to the collected view of what it is you're trying to achieve in that relationship. So, you know, if it's work, what are you trying to achieve with that work? If it's a relationship, what are you hoping all involved to gain from that? Are you doing your part? Is there something, has it fallen to the wayside? Particularly in January, you know, we've either spent a lot of time with our family over Christmas and maybe the work has kind of took a back burner, or, you know, we may be January on the goals, on the manifestation, on the and the relationships are taking the back burner. So really feeling into where that balance is this week. I was going to say there's something in this, and what I'm seeing is the character holding the world. So it really feels in regards to our connection to who we are and what it is we're here to do. It's that almost that's taken a back burner. Sometimes we can concentrate more on relationships than we can on ourselves. Sometimes we can concentrate more on work than we can on ourselves, and yet we must recognize with the underlying stability that runs through all of that. It may be a week for self-care. Really feeling into what does your body need. Using your environment as a reflection of that also. So again, when I went into town yesterday, yes, I could feel the stories, but I felt alive also. I felt alive. A electricity ran through me that I hadn't felt since I was last living there, basically. Empress. I felt alive with creative energy, different cultures, different colours of beliefs and ways of approaching life, and there was art everywhere, there was music everywhere, there was teachings everywhere, and it all came together in this most beautiful vision of a cafe full of people playing the game. And what is it this week that's going to help you want to continue creating as we play the game? Because ultimately that's what we're all doing. Okay. I'm hearing the song, The Winner Takes It All. And whether or not it's all become about winning, Page of Swords and the King of Pentacles, what does winning mean to you? You know, if this is a game, if this is one life, and at the end of it you've completed everything you want to complete and you've won the game, what would that look like to you? What's really important? Chances are whatever it is that's important to you is what's going to sustain you and keep you lit. Keep you lit for whatever it is is being asked of you also. There's a big emphasis here of stepping into the medicine, becoming the medicine. So whatever it is keeps you sparked up, ignited, excited, that's what you're here to offer also. I need to feel into that one myself. Okay, energies for the week and how to best navigate them. So we have the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the pack, and it is here about really not stepping into our divinity. It's an ongoing journey. It's not something that happens overnight, and having the compassion and the patience of that as well, lifting that up, lightening that up a bit. You know, it's not about getting it right. It's not about being sovereign. In looking at what being sovereign means to us, I'm not going to say what it's about. What does being sovereign mean to you? Really standing in that authentic version of who you are this week is going to be key, and it starts with the mindset. It really does start with the mindset. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, I feel a real warmth, which is a godsend right now, coming over me, a real nurture, a real sigh of relief. One of the hardest things we can do is let go of control, let go of expectations. But when we do, we can be in that moment. We can just enjoy it for what it is, experience it for what it is, and find the beauty of that presence. An example, my sister, I've been with her with every breath, the first time as a midwife, and it was an honour, absolute honour to follow her through, to care for her. And the remaining deliveries as a birth partner. There was a real difference for me because I didn't have the responsibility of looking out for her medical well-being, of being a professional in that situation, because I could be her sister, her partner, in the situation. There was a lot more richness. I could be with her This week there is almost a decision of how we want to continue what it is we are doing, how we want to continue connecting to our work, to people in our lives. Sometimes with my husband, I can really turn into a spiritual advisor. And it isn't what he wants. It isn't what he wants. He wants his wife. He wants his wife. And I really miss out on that because I feel like that's what's needed of me. And this week, there's going to be a real recognition of, yes, it's who we are. I'll always be a midwife, but that can change. That can be adapted. I will always give riddled advice because that's who I am. But that can be changed and that can be adapted. And the key to it is this, I want to say wrong, but it's not, outgrown view of sovereignty, about it being very professional, very stern, very dogmatic, very separate. This week, the abundance, particularly on the Monday, is going to come from connecting to our physical experiences, our physical reactions, our physical opening, just like swimming, our physical opening of the cycles that are now coming. And I say the cycles because I just saw the frog spawn. An opening of the physical cycles that are now apparent in front of us. There is a peace there in the not understanding the full picture. There is a peace there in the not overstretching the information. There is a peace there in knowing we have what we need in that moment. We may want to find all the answers, but to find all the answers based on where we are would be limited in the fruitfulness of experience. And that on the Monday is key, as we have the 9 of Pentacles here. There's nothing else for me to add. And in that, there's a great maturity. I see the grapes here on the vine, and they're grown and they're ready to be juiced. It's there. And it comes from knowing it's all going to happen. It's all going to grow. It's all going to do whatever it needs to do. There's a little snail right in front of her foot. Slow, steady pace. It's the feminine, and it's that warmth and nurture that I felt for the Monday. On the Tuesday, we have the 3 of Wands, and I wanted to say the feminine nurture that I felt for the Monday only, because it did really feel like we were moving away from that. So enjoy it. Enjoy, and I really feel that in my chest. Enjoy the moment for what it is, because it is going to change. On the Tuesday, we have the 3 of Wands, and there's a view of what that change may actually look like, where we are preparing to move forward. You know, we've come to this place of all we're going to figure out in that moment. Really being ready, standing firm, acknowledging that yes, there are areas that we need to cross, but that we're ready, that we've reached the summit of our own understanding on the Tuesday, that it's time to create with that. The 3 of Wands, the 3 is creativity. On the Wednesday, we have the 9 of Cups, and I almost want to slow things down. It's like, yes, on the Wednesday, 9 of Cups, the classic wish card, but hang on, I'm not ready. Trying to think what I have on the Wednesday. But just slowing down, this feeling of not quite being ready, recognizing the benefit that we have felt from holding ourselves back, the benefit of being comfortable, the almost smugness of reaching that pivotal turning point and not wanting to change it. On the Wednesday, it's not that it's going to be taken out from under us. It's not that we're not ready, even though from this stance you can see the solar plexus is being completely closed off, like a need to control here, because all of the feminine energy is basically gone and is around the head, protecting the head. Unable to let things in. You can't even see the card. It's that. There we are. It's not that we're not ready, but it's just time for the next stage, time for the next phase. So a lot of the times we may not put our goals and plans into fruition because we think, well, give an example. Yoga. Okay, well, I need a yoga mat. So I'll do it once I've got the yoga mat. Okay, well, I need yoga blocks. So I'll do it once I've got the yoga blocks. Okay, well, I need a yoga class. Okay, well, I need time off. Okay, well, I need a car to get. Really looking at how we may be cloaking over what it is we want and believing that we're doing the best that we can. Ouch. But being lightening up with that, okay, being okay with that genuine supportive wisdom that's trying to come in, that wants to take us from the 3 of Wands onwards. Okay, so feeling into that with some humor, with some lightness, with some compassion, and recognizing underneath, yes, we may not have been ready, yes, we may not have wanted it, and if we really do want that 9 of Cups, that we need to put in the work, and that's going to come from seeking it outside of us, because otherwise we would have done it by now. So on the Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on the Thursday with the new moon, we do actually have the 3 of Pentacles, and I have got a real jaw ache. Okay. So it's there's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of having to grit my teeth there on the Thursday. Almost asking for help and not getting it has built this barrier up to not asking for help. And what I feel is to ask for help from a different direction, or to recognize that the help that is now available has changed. When we move on from our stories, when we not get rid of them but embody them and the medicine that they have and take them to the next level, we then allow other people to do the same. Are we doing that? Are we allowing other people the opportunity to create with their story also? Is there something bigger being built between these situations? On the Thursday, it does feel important to ask for help, and it's the asking for help that will help us master the gifts that are coming forth now to be delivered. That help can be from people, that help can be from ourselves, that help can be from the earth. And what I see here is you have a religious figure, but you also have almost like a clown here as well, and a crafter. So embracing the spirituality of creativity, the tactile craftsmanship of mastering creativity, but also the joy that can be found in making something. Quite often we try and make things perfect before we do anything with it, and that really holds back the joy that can be found by just doing it. By just doing it and adapting and becoming flexible and allowing our creativity to grow. On the Friday, we do have the Hierophant, and this is where some of that more stubborn, it has to be this way. So Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes, it has to be this way, my way or the highway. And to really keep an eye on that, not only in how we approach other people, but how we approach ourselves as well. Okay, I need it this way. It has to run and be alongside this time management or this blah, 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 blah. Really looking at where we may be almost dogmatic here based on what we believe sovereignty to be, based on what we believe maturity to be, based on what we believe authority and teaching to be. And I'm thinking into that on the Saturday. I actually have the Moon Key workshop, so being very aware of that. Being aware of the advice around us doesn't mean we have to change who we are, doesn't mean, it's more of an invitation. Allowing the advice on the Saturday to be an invitation. What we do with that is up to us. And the reason behind that is it's through our own understanding that the true keys of wisdom come. Okay, it's through our own path on, you have the red carpet here, our own path to the red thread, to the feminine, to the earth, that our own understanding actually occurs. On the Saturday, keeping that in mind. On the Sunday, there's a need for balance, and come the weekend, it feels as if it's gone. Throughout the week, it's a little bit relaxed, slow, ploddy, emotionally up and down, needing help, not wanting to ask for help, feeling vulnerable. There's a little bit of chucked in, my way, the highway, it needs to be this way, almost having to, I feel like almost having to bow down to whatever is going on, and a real resistance there. But come Saturday and Sunday, it feels quite human. It feels very down to earth. It feels very, almost like an anticlimax actually, because the rest of the week can be so up, down, so much going on, that come the weekend, it's a beautiful opportunity to pause, if we can acknowledge that that's what it is. And I've just realised actually, Friday I'm not teaching the Moon Nike, it's on the Saturday. So on the Saturday, taking that invitation from the Friday and balancing it out by realising where you are. By realising where you are on a physical level. Yes, we can have all these ideas. Yes, we can have all these plans, all these goals. Are they realistic to us right now? Because what happens when we have this idea that comes in and we are unable to achieve it for whatever reason, we get into this story of I'm not capable, I'm not good enough. It could just be, again, star card, it could just be that that vision has been so vast, we've got so caught up on the end result that we haven't remembered the chop wood, carry water steps in between. Okay, so really looking at where we may be downplaying our own ability based on a refusal almost to see what we're capable of. On the Sunday, that gives us a more lighter, youthful way of creating, a more fruitful, fun, inspired yearning to start again almost with what it is we've been thinking about all week. So, we felt the abundance of it all. We felt the need to add no more, but we've also been aware that things are shifting, things are moving, and we felt quite happy and content with how everything is, but also knowing that in order for us to get where we need to be, we may need to ask for a bit of help, being aware of that help that we're asking for and where we're asking for it from, to avoid any backwards forwards resistance, particularly with ourselves, the universe, our belief of manifestation and creativity, our faith in our own body. By the time Sunday comes round, it all lightens up. It all lightens up, and we recognize that actually it wasn't about us or our spiritual self. It wasn't about us or our job. It wasn't about us or our relationship. That actually that's what guides us. That's what keeps us moving forward. That's what we actually hold in our hands. That's what gives us support. And from that perspective, we start to see why it's worth investing our time and our energy into it. Overall, we have the King of Swords. I'm being drawn to the Ace of Swords that was underneath as well. So the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords, there is a new way here of seeing, put them in that order, a new way here of mentally seeing what being in charge actually means. In charge. And what we choose to do with that energy that flows through us. It's one thing to think, it's another to do. It's one thing to wish, it's another to create, right? So overall, I'm aware of the time. We have, again, I'm aware of the time. 1, 2, that there, that there, that there. Okay. We have one major arcana this week, and it is the Hierophant. Keeping some balance, taking some time out, finding what is important to you, finding what connects you to your authentic self, really feeling into what sovereignty may mean for you now, looking at your own relationship with leadership, with teaching, with being a student and a teacher, both in one go. The impact that that has on what is trying to be opened up within you now. And your view of that, I feel that in my left ovary. Oh, there's some big changes coming in regards to education, experiential learning, and even something there that I can't quite grasp, which is exciting. Being excited at what we may not understand right now. We then have 2 wand cards, a beautiful balance there of the 3 of wands and the page of wands. So in order to move forward, we really need that lighter energy. We really need to be more inspired with what it is we want to move forward with. How? By deciding the one thing that is important to us, the one thing that continues to drive us, you know, that energy within us. Really reconnecting back to that, reconnecting back to our roots, both physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, but the roots within a relationship, the roots within employment, the roots within our calling, the roots within the very thing that made us want to do it in the first place. Returning back to that is going to be key this week. We have 1 cup card, which is the 9 of cups. So yes, our dreams, our wishes are coming to a completed stage. Not quite there yet, but an almost completed stage. And when this stage occurs, there are going to be things to be looked at, whether or not we want to take that forward, whether or not that has done its purpose. A bit like me living in the country. For a long time, it was a wish of mine. I've done it. I'm ready for the next part. As it is, it's reached its pinnacle. There's nowhere else that can go forward. The only other outcome would be to have my own home in the country, which I'm realistically miles away from right now. So how do I do that? Well, for now, for me, it is my employment that comes to the surface, and my family, which is back into town. So acknowledging that it doesn't mean the dream has stopped, it just means it's taking on another stage. It's taking on another flexible version of its own manifestation, and allowing that dream to flow through this completed cycle. Knowing that it doesn't mean that we're always walking away from it. If we are, that may be true, and it's done what it needed to do, and having that gratitude, that genuine gratitude of, thank you, I've discovered this, this and this, that return to the beauty way of it all. We then have 3 pentacle cards. So the creativity this week comes from the physicalness. Again, I'm not surprised to see that, but it comes from asking for help and being of service, also recognizing that could be the very help that we need. So again, this today, wanting to do yoga, having the equipment, having the time, not having the drive, putting it out there, asking for help, and getting straight back a opportunity, an invitation, which is all they are this week. They are invitations, an invitation to do it as part of a bigger collective vision. That's the other thing that's coming up. There's a lot of trines and things going on this week with the new moon, but one of them is in Uranus. So being very aware, and Aquarius as well, being very aware of the sudden yearning for a bigger vision, doing it to raise money, doing it to raise awareness, doing it with others is giving me that drive. And having a date when it's reasonable to think, yes, in February, actually, 2nd of February, yes, actually I can start to really put time for that. Reaching out, getting the help that you need, but also recognizing you are part of that triangle. You are part of that service. You are part of that help. So what helps you want to be of service this week? That's going to give you the balance of abundance, genuine abundance. You know, we can grow in ourselves, we can have it all, but if there's no one to share it with, our abundance becomes limited. You know, value is through the sharing with others. That's a personal belief of mine. It doesn't have to be of yours. And really acknowledging what beliefs do give you value, do give you abundance this week is going to be key. And working with them, working with your belief systems. For me, sharing, it's not because I'm a saint, it's because it feels fucking great. I love sharing. I really get a lot out of that. So being okay with that, yes, I'm of service, but I'm also gaining from that too, and making sure that that is the case. We talk a lot about boundaries, being aware of the ones that may stand in the way, especially with that Hierophant, that dogmatic approach to what you believe should be, how you do what you do. Looking at the boundaries that stand in the way of that flow. you know, that triangle flow here. We have a lot of triangles in the cards, and it is the masculine, the feminine, and being of service. What's standing in the way of that? Well, for me, it is my computer saying that my battery is low. Yeah, when we're not taking care of ourselves, that's when we're less likely to want to share, but also when we're less likely to be open to receive, because we've gone into that needs not being met. Think of Maslow's triangle, basic needs not being met, and we start to switch off as a result. So the two sword cards, that's when the Hierophant just literally took a spin on my deck. The two sword cards, looking at what self-care means to you, looking at what you need in order to be mentally on board and connected, firing on all cylinders with what it is you're trying to achieve. You're not going to get a pat on the back for burning yourself out and putting others first. That is not a sovereign way to be of service here. And it's that we're being asked to look at, to almost replace the King of Swords. He's had his time, he's had his place, you know, this mentality of what the masculine is, with the King of Cups, to flow emotionally now with whatever drives us forward, but also nurtures us in the process, because we can have that. We can be of service and recognize that we are part of that service too. That's Aini, right? That's reciprocity. Never say that word. So that in mind, we have the Ten of Wands at the bottom of the pack. We are coming to an end of working the way that we do, of connecting our fire, our drive, our ambition, the way that we do. It is finally starting to come to an end. It was really, really sparked with the pandemic and having to go within and feeling almost restricted in what we could and couldn't do, and having an opportunity to look at what worked and what didn't. And that cycle, 15 years cycle, not the pandemic obviously, but the last 10, 15 years, that cycle is slowly but surely coming to an end. Allow it to do so. Allow these things to, with gratitude, come back home for the medicine that they are now offering you to take forward. Have the most incredible week, and I shall see you next week.